Tonight on Golf Central, world number 4, Rory McIlroy is a busy man this week, serving as tournament host and the defending champ of the Irish Open.
Closer to home, Phil Mickelson headlines the Greenbrier Classic, where he will have a new caddy on his bag for the first time in 25 years, his brother Tim.
We've been together now for 40 years, and which is as long as he's been around. It's been fun. We're excited to get started and excited to have this week together.
Plus, could Phil miss his first U.S. team since 1993? Our 3-part series on American golf continues with an in-depth look at Team USA. It's all ahead tonight on Golf Central.
Golf Central. Brought to you by Titleist.
It's another busy week around the world of golf. It's about to kick off, too. We're here to get you ready for it. Great to have you with us tonight on Golf Central. I'm Lisa Cornwell. One of those players preparing for his week is 42-time PGA Tour winner Phil Mickelson, who earned 41 of those wins with Jim Bones Mackay on the bag. But that was then. This is now. Phil's making his first start since announcing he and Bones had decided to part ways. For more on Mickelson and what he's saying ahead of the Greenbrier Classic, we welcome in George Savarikas, who joins us live from the Old White TPC. George, what's the latest on Lefty?
Well, Lisa, as you detailed, it's the start of a new era for 5-time major champion Phil Mickelson, which begins at this week's Greenbrier Classic. His 25-year partnership with Jim Bones Mackay dated all the way back to the 1992 U.S. Open at Pebble Beach. It included those 41 wins you mentioned and 5 majors. Now it's officially becoming a family affair, with younger brother Tim Mickelson taking over the reins as his caddy for the remainder of the season. So you wonder, what makes Tim a good fit to be on the bag for Lefty at this point in Phil's career?
We've been together now for 40 years, and which is as long as he's been around. It's been fun. We're excited to get started and excited to have this week together. I'm hesitant to talk too much about anything because I'm so appreciative of the time that I've had with Bones for 25 years that anything I say positively about what I'm looking forward to with Tim and so forth, I feel would be taken as a shot at Bones, and I don't want to do that. I mean, I have too much respect for him and our time together over the years. So the thing I would say is that Tim's one of my favorite people. I love being around him. He's one of the people I respect the most, and throughout my career, he's been so supportive of me. We've never had that kind of brotherly rivalry growing up. We're 7 years apart, and we've been nothing but supportive for each other throughout our lives. And to have that type of friendship with my brother, something I really value, and this time together. So I would say that after having not won for 4 years, knowing that my game is at a level that is good enough to win, but not having done it, I think the one thing is an element of being comfortable with my brother, and maybe he gets me a little bit more relaxed and takes a little bit of pressure off me, and maybe I'll play my best that way. But there's no replacing Bones. He's phenomenal.
A lot of people probably can't remember a time that Phil and Bones weren't together, but Phil's first victory, the 1991 Nortel Tucson Open, he had his then coach at Arizona State, Steve Loy, on the bag. Loy, of course, went on to become Mickelson's agent once he left ASU. A similar route for his younger brother, Tim, who was the head coach of the Arizona State Sun Devils before leaving a year ago to become the agent for phenom John Rahm. So, Lisa, wouldn't it be fitting if win number 1 was then followed by win number 43 with Tim Mickelson on the bag?
It would be quite the headline, George. Thank you very much. Mickelson begins his work week playing alongside Bubba Watson and the defending champ from 2015, Danny Lee. They go off at 1 o'clock Eastern Time as we say hello to PGA Tour winner Billy Kratzert. 42 PGA Tour wins for Mickelson. Like he said it in his soundbite there. He hasn't won in 4 years. He talked about Tim, called him his best friend, one of his favorite people in the world. Given the fact that Mickelson's had so much success but hasn't won in 4 years, could this kind of relationship really help him get back to the winner's circle?
Well, I think so. You know, sometimes you need to change it up, Lisa, and changing it up is exactly what he's going to do. So Are you a fan of Bones and Mickelson splitting? I don't think anyone is. I don't think Phil and Bones are. But going forward, Phil has to do what he thinks is best for him, and he thinks with brother Tim on the bag. I know that there used to be a par 3 shootout up in Michigan that Tim caddied for Phil, and they did all right. So I think it's a great pairing. I think they're very comfortable out there. I think they're going to have a good time together. Phil, he still feels as though he's relevant in the game. I think he is. He and Andrew Getson, they've done a lot of nice work with the golf swing. And I think going forward, I think when you really look at the team of Tim Mickelson and Phil Mickelson, who knows? Maybe it's going to produce a couple of wins. He hasn't won since Turnberry or Muirfield in 2013.
He does seem excited about it. Of course, a lot of fun to have a brother or a sister on the bag. As long as they know what they're doing. Tim certainly does. The Greenbrier Classic is one of 2 star-studded events on the schedule this week. Rory McIlroy is the defending champion and host in the Dubai duty-free Irish Open on the European Tour. Rory is set to tee off at 8:20 tomorrow morning alongside world number 2 Hideki Matsuyama and number 11 John Rahm. For more on the defending champ, we take it to Northern Ireland and check in with Di Doherty.
Yes, thank you very much. Delighted to be joined by the host for this week, Rory McIlroy. Rory, a lot on your plate this week, a lot of responsibilities, so much going on. How do you treat this Irish Open like a normal event, and how are you juggling all those responsibilities?
Yeah, it's I'm not as busy as I was, say, a couple of years ago. Whenever we took this tournament on for the first time, I felt like it was really my obligation to be here, there and everywhere and do a lot of things, where I learned a lot from that. And last year, the mistakes I felt I made in 2015, I felt I put them right and was able to compete in a tournament and ultimately win it. So I feel like I can handle it well. I think it's almost like 2 different weeks. For me, Monday to Wednesday is, you get all your commitments out of the way, you do everything you need to, and then whenever you tee it up on Thursday, you're there to play golf and try to win the golf tournament. So that's sort of how I treat this week.
And a really strong field here. The prize money is $7 million and it's now part of the Rolex series. How much pride do you take with your foundation as well in really putting this event back on the map?
Yeah, we're immensely proud to be involved, and I really wanted to bring the Irish Open back to where it was in the 80s and 90s, and the likes of Seve and Faldo and Langer and all these guys that were winning it and bringing huge prestige to the tournament. I felt like it had sort of lost its way a bit in the middle of the 2000s, and something needed to happen, and I'm happy that we were able to come on board, and it's been great. We've been able to bring the tournament up to the stature that it is now, but at the same time being able to raise a lot of money for charity. So it's a win-win, I guess.
And Portstewart, tell us a little bit about this course and the challenges that the players will face this week.
Yeah, I think it's a great golf course. I mean, the guys here have got the course in tremendous shape. It really is in great shape. It really depends on the weather, like all links courses. If it's windy, it'll be really challenging. But if we get 4 days like this, I could see some low scores out there. So, yeah, it really just depends. I mean, if you get a few of these holes in crosswinds and some sort of tricky angles off tees, it'll make it very difficult to hit fairways, and from there you're struggling. But fingers crossed, it's a good week and good weather, and as you said, the field is so strong. So I'm sure we'll crown a worthy winner at the end of the week.
We saw a bit of a turnaround in the final run of the Travellers with your putting. What putter are you using this week, and what have you been working on with Phil Kenyon earlier on this week?
Yeah, so the same putter that I used in that final round at the Travellers, it's sort of more of a blade style, a style that I'm more used to and accustomed to, and something that I've had success with in the past. And we've just worked on the same things. A couple of my old bad habits started to creep into my stroke again, so just trying to iron those out. And that's really it. I mean, keep it as simple. Putting should be simple. It's a very simple motion. And we've tried to keep it as simple as possible and not overcomplicate it. And I feel like sometimes I was overcomplicating it. So just trying to simplify it. And I feel like I've made some good steps in the right direction with that.
It's going to be a great week. Good luck.
Thank you.
Simple for him, not so simple for most of us human beings playing this game. Look, when you're one of the best ball strikers in the world, you can have numbers like this and still shoot 64s. Rory's done it 3 times on the PGA Tour. Negative strokes gained putting stats and still posting those kinds of numbers. It's incredible. Billy, let's take a look. This is Rory just before the 3rd round of the Travelers Championship. Look at all those putters. I mean, you can see about 5 there.
There are 5 there, and trying to select the right one. Started out with the spider putter, and then didn't see the results. Actually, fortunate to make the cut at the Travelers, but then was kind of tinkering. Then was trying to decide, and we often talk about a player's patience on the golf course and how they let things come to them. Well, with the putter, sometimes the players aren't so patient, and they don't let things come to them. And this was in the first round, the spider that I was referencing, and then the third round, after making the cut, trying to make something happen because there was a secondary cut, had to pay attention. He went with a semi-mallet, not a big mallet. But then you heard him say the putter that he's more comfortable with in the final round, more of a blade putter. He won his 4 major championships with that. Had a chance to shoot 63, bogeyed the last hole, but all in all, I thought it was a positive day. It's a putter that optically, it looks good to Rory McIlroy, and I think that's all a player can ask for, is something that really looks good. And I love the fact that Rory McIlroy said that he wanted to keep it simple, didn't want to complicate it, simplify it, and move on.
Hit 17 of 18 greens that day. So
impressive.
It certainly is. Well, Rory's title defense won't be easy against one of the strongest fields of the year on the European Tour. Hear from Rory's chasers coming up. Also ahead, it's the game within the game. What players are saying with a shot at the Open Championship on the line. Plus, Billy goes through the numbers to tell us who has the edge to win it all at America's Resort. You're watching Golf Central.
Golf Central is brought to you by the new Titleist Pro V1 and Pro V1X. Choose the best for your game. Comcast Business, built for business.